Claudio is the author of this book, The Hand of Yemen-Jah, a new novel that we're going to hear more about in a few minutes. But first, it's our tradition on this program, if we have any traditions,
great.
to start with a glass of wine. Claudio?
Thank you. I've been dying for a glass of wine.
Oh, I'm glad you deserve
preparing
it after
for this
writing
interview
that
with you.
terrific book.
Being part of your pilot here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cheers,
Cheers.
Bob. Thank you for having me.
Cheers. Prost. Prost. Now,
Nice.
very nice. Now let's talk about the book. The title of the book is interesting. The Hand of Yemen-Jah.
Yes.
What is that Yemen-Jah?
Yemen-Jah. Yemen-Jah is the goddess of the sea.
Yes?
She comes from the Afro-Brazilian religions, the
Yes.
Bantu, the African religions. And the goddess of the sea, Yemen-Jah, she's the mother of everything, the creator of everything.
So this is
So
a
this
book
is-
about the sea.
Yeah, she rules over the sea, and everything comes from the sea, as we all know.
I see.
She's that's her reign. Everything that happens through her.
But this book is actually about crossing the sea.
Exactly.
It's about a young lady named Lydia.
Right.
So tell us something about that. How did you come to write a book about Lydia?
Well, the story was inspired by the history of my father's grandmother.
Your great-grandmother.
My great-grandmother. She went to Argentina from Italy.
She was
beginning of the
Italian?
20th century. Yes.
Yes.
Moved over there, and essentially she died in 1972. Left a little fortune.
Yes?
Only the thing was that nobody in my family could really tell me how this lady acquired a clinic, houses,
Was she wealthy in Italy when she went?
No, she wasn't. She wasn't. That's the point. Everybody from Italy that went to America, North and South America, was
Yes.
It was economic migration,
Migration,
right? So that inspired me. So listen, if nobody can tell me how she acquired all these things, she must have been good in business. So I'm going to write a fictional story
I
about
see.
a young lady finds fortune in the Americas.
Did you ever meet her? Did you know her?
I did as a child. I have very vague memories of her.
Uh-huh.
She was an old lady by the time I came around.
Yes. So she spent her life in Chile.
And she eventually moved to Chile and then
Yes.
died in '72
I see.
in Chile. Yeah.
Very interesting. And one of the things you talk about often in this book
Mhm.
is that in migration, in moving from one country to another country,
Sure.
you get the chance to, in fact, reinvent yourself.
Yeah, that's in essence that's what the book is about. It's about changing yourself.
Yes.
Being a migrant myself,
Yes.
After the dictatorship in the '70s in Chile, we moved to Europe, actually taking the same route.
Uh-huh.
Basically.
So did you have to reinvent yourself when you came from Chile?
Obviously,
to
every
Europe?
migrant, if you leave your country and you start over somewhere else, you are redefining yourself. You're reshuffling the cards. You become somebody else.
Right,
You change coats.
right. Do you remember how you changed particularly?
I was a child. I was 7 when I came to the Netherlands
Yes.
at that time, and I had to learn language. I only spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
Not very many kids spoke English.
Yeah.
So it was important to learn
Oh, it's not easy for a
Dutch
7-year-old.
quickly.
Yeah.
But kids learn easily.
Yeah.
Kids are very adaptable, and
Right.
so I acquired that chameleon-like quality I think most migrants have. We
Yeah.
can adapt.
Is that the aspect of a
I think
successful
so.
migrant?
I think
to
so.
be a chameleon.
I think so. I think migrants learn to do this,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
is good because it makes you very creative. You can learn languages quicker than
Sure.
people that don't travel.
And
you
did
know.
Lydia do this in your book?
She did, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Successfully?
In the book, she was very successful.
Yeah.
But it was more fate. It's more the goddess playing.
Well, from the very moment she gets on the boat,
Right.
she's having some amazing adventures.
Well, her whole thing is that she wants to. The way I put it in the book, she wants to tempt the future by ignoring the past. So she was
Tempt the future by ignoring the past. What a beautiful way to say it.
I'm not interested in where she comes from. I'm just interested in where she's going.
And similarly,
So it's a-
you weren't interested in going back to Chile.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So the future is more important than the past in many
Always,
ways.
yeah, always. You know,
Always.
there's no choice. I mean, you cannot afford often to look back
That's right.
because there's nothing to look back.
You can't change any of it.
No, you cannot go back often.
Yeah,
You know, that's
yeah.
why a lot of people travel,
Yeah, that's true.
migrate for reasons. You know, you just and that it's survival mode. I think.
Survival.
Yeah, it's you need to look at the future more than the past. If
Yeah.
you're going to keep looking back, you're never going to succeed
But
or
in,
move forward.
in this book,
No.
Lydia and the other people on the ship
Yeah.
are crossing an ocean
Right.
that takes weeks and weeks and weeks to get across under difficult circumstances. Is there something in particular about crossing an ocean that speaks to you?
You know, I think I like the magical. Of course, you know, I'm Latin American, so I'm very charmed by the Marquez, the magic realism,
Yes.
you know, like integrating magic with reality.
Yes.
So yeah, I do believe that the goddess of the sea will touch us every time we cross an ocean. Absolutely.
Even on a 747 and
you know,
near
it
10
goes
hours?
faster, and we may not notice it because we're we're watching movies.
Yeah.
But I think we do. We do. She touches us. She changes us.
Yeah.
However, 100 years ago, it took 6 weeks to get to Brazil.
Yeah.
People actually did change quite a bit in those
Yeah.
6 weeks. At least that's my take on it.
Well, your story is instructive. Maybe you don't want to teach, but you are teaching with this book. You're giving an
Well-
example of a very interesting woman who's tough, actually. A
It's-
very tough woman who
Yeah,
succeeds
do
under
you think so?
difficult...
Do you think she's tough?
Yes, I do. She's pragmatic.
Pragmatic.
She's
very
certainly pragmatic. And she's not sentimental.
Exactly.
So these are the elements of toughness that I'm talking about.
Okay. But that was built into it. That was built into it.
Yeah.
She was meant to be pragmatic because the women that I know, and I know this, my father's grandmother was pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
No bullshit.
Right,
You know.
right,
My mother's like that. No
Yeah,
bullshit. Just
right.
get it done.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So this lady. So I built that in. And it's a good thing that you picked it out.
Yeah. Well, at one point you say in the book, your future is limited only by your imagination. And that is a theme that also comes back on
Yeah.
and on in the book.
Yeah, it's if we decide or we tell ourselves to change, all of us need to come out of the closet in some way.
Yes,
We need to change ourselves and face the demons and just move forward.
and tell the truth
Tell the truth.
to ourselves and to others.
We should never lie to ourselves.
Certainly.
We can lie to others. We
Yeah.
always do, obviously.
Yeah,
But it's important to come to terms with who you are.
exactly.
But also accept that you can change.
Have you done that in writing this book? Come to terms with who you are to some extent?
I don't think the book changed me. I think I visited a lot of issues inside of me.
Yes.
Researching this fictitious lady.
Yes.
Obviously, there's a lot of me in her.
Sure.
So
You're her great-grandson.
I was able to, but I was able to put myself into this character.
Yes.
So she's a lot like me.
Yes.
So it's actually,
Interesting.
all the characters we write, Bob, they're,
Right.
it's autobiographical.
Exactly.
We write about ourselves.
Exactly.
In the end,
It's always about us in the end.
Yeah.
It's always about us in the end. That's
so
true.
it's,
And you're now expanding the art form. You're taking this to other media? You're
it's called lit cinema.
lit cinema.
Yeah, it's not a movie, but it's literature telling its own story, but images telling a story
As well.
alongside it and helping along.
Wonderful.
It's worth a look.
ClaudioTapia.com.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to
Very
do more of this.
interesting.
I think it's a very nice medium,
Good.
and it lends itself very well for the new devices that we have now.
Of course.
We can YouTube anything and
Of
just.
course.
It's another way to consume literature, I think.
Let's look at it now.
It would still be hours before the mist completely lifted from the bay. The surface of the water was calm, tear-choked, glass-colored black by the sky hovering right above it. Genoa was at half veil, the city poised in mourning. The mayhem around her was complete, infectious, like the scene of a tragic accident, and an endearing reminder every time of how her countrymen only seemed more hysterical than what was usually the case. Families by far were the rowdiest, especially the provincials, in that perpetual state of panic about having to make sense of themselves in the face of changing times. Lydia stepped back to look at the string of trunks and crates queued like a trail of domino stones on the deck, and honed in on the two valises halfway down the middle belonging to her. She tallied each piece, but not necessarily counting them. Rather, she seemed taken in by the mathematics of it, and the poetry that begged to cling to farewells in general. She was suddenly struck by the thought of how the next time each piece of luggage would touch solid ground again, it would be on the western shores of the Atlantic Ocean somewhere. And for a moment her eyes lit up as the coil of human circumstance revealed itself again, the melodrama.
So congratulations on writing this really excellent book.
Thank you.
Thank
Bob,
you
so
for
much.
coming to join us today.
Thank you
It
for
was
having
really
me.
a pleasure.
Wonderful wine.
And thanks to you all for joining us on Amsterdam Writers Platform.